Hello students, welcome to another video on physics for class 7. Today's topic is heat. So let us discuss what is heat. If you go out in the sun and stand for around 2 to 3 minutes, you start feeling hot. And during winters, at night, you start feeling very cold, right? So what is heat actually? Let us see. Heat is something which produces a sensation in our body and due to which we are able to tell whether something is hot, cold or warm. Generally, heat is flowing between the different bodies because there is a difference in temperature. So suppose there are two bodies which are in contact with each other and one is cold and the other one is hot. What happens is when the both bodies are in contact, then heat will start to flow from the hot body to the cold body. Okay children? So many a times it happens that children get confused between heat and temperature. They are different things and we will be discussing about that as well. Now what is a unit of heat? Heat is actually a form of energy. So the unit of heat is same as the unit of energy, that is joule. Some other heat units are calories and kilocalories, and you need to remember that 1 calorie is around 4.186 joule, or you can round off it to 4.2 joule. Now 1 joule you can say is around 0.24 calorie. How do I define a calorie? It is defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree. So when I am heating something, heat is being absorbed so that it can change or rise the temperature of 1 gram of water, for example, by 1 degree. That is the definition of calorie. And 1 kilocal is similar to 1000 calorie, or we can say that 1 kilocal is equal to 1000 calories. Now when we talk about temperature, what is temperature? It is the measure of degree of hotness or coldness of a body. Okay children, like it tells us about the motion of the molecules and atoms in a substance. If you remember the kinetic theory of matter, you know that when we heat something, the molecules, they start getting excited and they start moving in a zigzag fashion, and more the temperature, more is the vibration in the particles, right? So when the kinetic energy is increasing because of the rise in temperature, we can observe that the temperature changes. A substance is becoming hotter. There is more vibration. When it will cool down, the molecules will have less motion. So the unit of temperature is SI unit is Kelvin, where we can write K in capital, and the other units are degree Celsius and degree Fahrenheit. You might have heard people talk about the temperature of their bodies. Now even you see that due to coronavirus, we are having the thermal screening. Wherever we go, they check our body temperature. So generally it is in degree Celsius or degree Fahrenheit. Now how do I measure the temperature of a body? Yes students, you are correct. It is with the help of a thermometer. So it is a device which is used to measure the temperature of a body. And thermometer is a device, children. It is used to measure the temperature, and generally it has two parts, the stem and the bulb. Now I'm going to show you a thermometer which looks like this. This is a digital thermometer, children. So we can say that this is a bulb and this hole is a stem. And if you might have seen a normal analog thermometer in your house, you know that generally it is having a stem of the glass tube. And also inside that there is a capillary tube which is filled with a liquid like mercury or alcohol. So do you know children why mercury is preferred over alcohol in the thermometer? Let us find out why. Yes children, mercury is very sensitive to heat and it expands even at the slightest temperature increase. So it's very good to be used as a thermometric liquid. Also, mercury is shiny and opaque. Opaque, you understand? Light cannot pass through it. And so you can easily see the rise in temperature and know the person's temperature easily. Now also it has a freezing point of minus 39 degrees Celsius and a boiling point of 357 degrees Celsius, thus allowing us to measure a wide range of temperature. Now, alcohol cannot be used when we have to measure very high temperature because alcohol evaporates very faster. So thus you can say that mercury is the best liquid to be used in thermometer. We move on to the next topic, that is temperature scales. Now there are various scales that we use for measuring the temperature, like Celsius scale, Fahrenheit scale, or the Kelvin scale. Right children? The most commonly used one is Celsius and Fahrenheit. Now the Celsius scale, it is graduated in centigrade, and also the Celsius scale is divided into like around 100 points, starting from the freezing point of water that is taken as a lower fixed point at 0 degrees Celsius and a boiling point of water that is 100 degrees Celsius. So the whole scale is divided between the 0 to 100. Then we have the Fahrenheit scale. So in this Fahrenheit scale, children, generally the doctors and the clinical thermometers use a Fahrenheit scale. And here it starts from 32 degree Fahrenheit and it goes up to 212 degree Fahrenheit. Now you can see that there is a difference of 180 degree Fahrenheit. So to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius, we use a particular formula. So you need to remember this formula, that is Fahrenheit. To convert into Fahrenheit from Celsius, you do 9 by 5 into Celsius plus 32. And to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, you do 5 by 9 into F minus 32. I will be showing you how to implement these formulas in the numericals. Some interesting thing that you should know is the normal body temperature of a human. In Fahrenheit, it is around 98.4 Fahrenheit, and in Celsius, it is around 37 degrees Celsius. And you know that when you have fever, your body temperature rises around 1 or 2 degrees. Now, in the Kelvin scale, children, the freezing point of water is taken here as 273 Kelvin. That is the starting point for this scale, and the boiling point of water here is marked at 373. So here also there is difference of 100 only. So whenever you have a temperature in Celsius and you want to convert it into Kelvin, you just need to add 273 to it. Now let us understand some very basic questions of conversion of the temperature. Like if 39 degrees Celsius is given to you in Celsius and you need to convert into Kelvin, so what do? You do 273 plus a degree in Celsius, that is 39 here. So we get the answer 312 Kelvin. And if you have to convert 68 degree Fahrenheit to degree Celsius, see children, here you can see that in Kelvin I have not written degree. We do not write degree in Kelvin, but we write degree for Fahrenheit and Celsius scales. So the formula that I showed you previously was C is equal to 5 by 9 F minus 32. Now this formula is being derived because there is a difference of 100 in Celsius and 180 difference in Fahrenheit. So when the calculation has been done, the derivations come up to this kind, that is C is equal to 5 by 9 F minus 32. So you need not go into the detail of derivation, you just need to remember this formula. So here the Fahrenheit is 68, so I substitute the value of Fahrenheit as 68. I subtract it, I get 36, and 5 by 9 into 36 I reduce and I get 20 degrees Celsius. That means if a body is having 68 degree Fahrenheit, the equivalent temperature in Celsius will be 20 degree. So don't forget to use the formula correctly to get your right answer. Okay children, next topic will be the effects of heat. But before that, I would just like to tell you that there are certain differences, as I told you, in heat and temperature. Like what is temperature? It is a degree of hotness or coldness of a body. Whereas what is heat? It is a form of energy. And generally temperature we are measuring in Kelvin, Celsius or Fahrenheit, but heat is measured in joules and calorie. If you know these two differences, at least you will know that temperature and heat are not exactly the same thing. Now, moving on to the effects of heat. Obviously, when heat is applied in a body, you will see a lot of changes happening. Like you can see, I've written some points here, like there will be change in temperature. It's very common and easily understood that when the temperature of a body is going to rise, obviously it is happening because heat is supplied to it. And also that rise in temperature will depend upon certain factors, children. What are those factors? Like the mass of the body. It will depend upon the mass of the body. It will depend upon the amount of heat applied. Means more the heat, more the temperature rise, obviously. And also the nature of the material. You have been reading in lower classes, children, about the Arabs wearing white color gown like clothes. People in the colder areas, they generally prefer dark colors. And why is it so? Because the color and the material also plays a very important role in the absorption and reflection of heat. So these are some basic things that you should be knowing. The next point is the change in size and shape. Obviously, on heating, what is going to happen? Either the volume or the size of the substance will expand on heating, right? And also it is known as thermal expansion, which we will be dealing very soon in this chapter. And thermal expansion is taking place in all the substances, let it be in any state. It may be the gas, solid and the liquid, but obviously the amount of change that happens will be different in all the three states. Similarly, you know that if a body is cooled, it is going to contract. Next, going to the change in state of matter. Now this is a topic which you generally read in chemistry, physics, etc. because you need to know that the three states of matter that we know about till now. Also, there is a state, the plasma state, which the scientists are still working upon. So we will be discussing only the three states, solid, liquid and gas. And as you can see that I have drawn some arrows showing how the solid, it fuses or melts to form the liquid. The liquid vaporizes to form the gas. The gas can directly change into solid, which is called deposition. If we go the other way around, the solid sublimes to form the gas, means that is skipping the liquid state. The gas condenses to form the liquid, and the liquid solidifies again to form the solid. So you can see that this is like a cycle going around, right, children? So you already know about what is fusion, what is melting, what is evaporation, but let me tell you a new concept. If you can see, there are 2 points that I have underlined here. The specific latent heat of fusion and the specific latent heat of vaporization. So when we talk about the latent word, latent refers to hidden. You might have seen that when you keep the solid outside, maybe a piece of ice, you keep it out, you see that it changes into liquid, right? But there is no increase in temperature. The temperature increase is remaining hidden, latent, okay? But it is drawing in some heat to change from solid to liquid. So this you can say that, for example, if we have to melt 1 kg of ice at 0 degree into 1 kg of water at 0 degree, then we need to supply around 340,000 joule of energy, right? That much energy has to be provided. So we can say that the latent heat of fusion of a substance is the amount of heat energy required to convert the unit mass of substance from the solid to liquid state without undergoing any change in temperature. Means here we are having solid at 0 degree Celsius, and the water, till it's converted completely into the water form, the temperature remains 0. It does not increase or decrease, but there is some energy. What is that energy? It's the specific latent heat of fusion. Also, in case of the conversion of the liquid into gas, that is vaporization, a substance, it is the specific latent heat of vaporization of a substance is the amount of heat required to convert the unit mass of a substance from the liquid to the gaseous state without changing the temperature. Again, what is the temperature here? How much energy is drawn in? The energy which is drawn in is around 2,300,000 joule per kg. This much amount of heat is, you can say that 2,300,000 joules of heat energy is required to convert the liquid to a gas. And so the other points being that you might have seen that during the summer season water is evaporating from the lakes and the different water bodies, right? And we start sweating a lot from our body sweats a lot during the summer to control the temperature, because when the water will be lost from our body through evaporation, our body temperature will come down and we will feel cooler, and our body temperature is maintained in that form. Similarly, in liquid, all the molecules, they move with different speeds, and the molecule possess different amount of energy, right? The molecules have very high energy which reach on the surface and they fly off in the atmosphere. This is what happens in the water in the lakes and ponds which get evaporated due to the heat. Now, evaporation is just another process which is not actually mentioned here. Vaporization is liquid changing into gas, and so is evaporation. But evaporation happens at any temperature, but here if I say boiling happens at a fixed temperature. So please don't forget that. Evaporation also depends upon the temperature, the area of the dryness of the air, and the wind. So there are certain factors relating to evaporation. You might have seen that in a hot summer season, or if it's windy and you dry the clothes, the temperature is high, so the evaporation becomes faster. If the air is very dry during summer, the clothes dry faster. Similarly, if you drink tea in the glass, or suppose you are feeling that the tea is very hot and you put it in your saucer, you see that the heat becomes quite less quickly. So area of the exposed surface is also important for evaporation, and the air blowing over the surface. Like in a humid day, the clothes don't dry quickly, but if it is because the air is having a lot of humidity in it. So if the air blowing over the surface is there and it's not humid, it's dry air, then the evaporation happens faster. And similarly, condensation is what, children, you have seen that it is a process in which the gaseous substance is changing into the liquid substance. And you know that water exists in all the three states, that is ice, that is a solid, water is there which is a liquid, and water vapor is there which is a gas. Also, when we talk about sublimation, it is a process in which directly the gaseous solid is changing into the gaseous state, and it doesn't undergo the liquid state in that. And you might have seen the camphor, the kapoor that we use for the puja, the naphthalene ball, the ammonium chloride. These are some sublimable substances which directly change gas. So with this, I'm very sure, students, you would have got an idea of how heat and temperature are the two different things, how you differentiate between them, simple calculation and conversions of the temperature from Celsius to Kelvin, Kelvin to Celsius, Celsius to Fahrenheit, and so on. How the effect of heat is seen in the form of change in the temperature, size and shape of the body being changed, and the change in the states of matter. If you like the video, don't forget to like and comment on it. Thank you for watching.